Glad to know you are joining us on this show today, TECHBRIDGE, and this is the only show that connects you to the future. We talk about technology, we talk about innovations, we talk about new inventions, and we also talk about information that helps your life. I am Sheyi Fumiola today, and we have...
My name is Tony Olagoke. You are welcome. Today is another TECHBRIDGE day. Don't forget, if you are not online, you are nowhere. So TECHBRIDGE is actually one of the programs you must always watch to stay attuned of the development in the world. Today we are looking at your data, your assets. I will have called it your data, your life. But it will sound so threatening. So today we are looking at your data, the importance of your data, and let it become your asset, not a liability, something you can guide jealously, something that can give you return on your integrity.
As important as your life.
Exactly.
So and
exactly.
It's in the public domain that data is an unprocessed information. And when we have information, it means the data is put in the context. It means it has a lot of interpretation added to it, and that means it can be used for something good or on the other side. Honestly
speaking, a lot of people play with data. When I say play with it, go and check marketing departments of some 5-star companies. Data is an asset for them. They see a data, the government has just passed the budget, or let me say the legislature has just passed the budget to the executive to sign into bill. But you discover that a lot of people pick those data and they run with it. They begin to see what can come up in the year. So your data is your asset. Some people will receive the same data, but they will play with it. They don't know what to do with it. And from January to December, they're the same person. But when you have data as your asset, you can translate it to something beneficiary to you.
All right. For more on this, join us after this break. The program once again is still TECHBRIDGE, and we talk about technology and everything about technology on this show. At this discussion segment, we've got a big fish in the house. She has well over 40 years experience in the ICT industry. She is a consultant in ICT, an IT practitioner, and also a programmer, analyst, database administrator, application development manager, to mention but a few. Join me to welcome Dr. Titilola Akinlade.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here too.
Ma, you are very welcome, because today we are looking at your data, your assets. Because we discover that these days people take their data anyhow, but you are an expert in this field. What is data protection?
Well, data protection covers a wide range of areas, but primarily for the individual, data protection is the extra step you go in order to protect your data, especially your online identity, in order to ensure that your data is not misused and is used in accordance with what your wishes are.
Okay, so if we want to take you back a little bit, we want to compare how data is gathered a few years ago, probably in the last century, and what we have now. Can you do a little comparison about that?
Well, in the last century, data gathering was mostly pencil and paper, and the protection issues around that would be how the paper copies are kept, and the retention period, do they get stored in a conducive atmosphere, humidity, and they be consumed by fire and all that. But these days, data storage, data gathering and storage is done online through using computers, and that in itself is a good thing. But the other side of it is that information technology has grown so much that the transmission and sharing of that data is a lot easier. So data that was gathered at point A can easily get to points B, C, and D without your knowledge, and it could be used for purposes you never intended that data to be used for.
That's serious.
So
considering that now, how much of our individual data should be available online or in the public domain?
I would say if you have any control over it, the minimum possible, the barest minimum, just enough for the purpose that data is being gathered. In other words, don't offer much more than is required at the point of data gathering.
That's very interesting, because I know there is a difference between public and private data. Maybe you can shed more light on that, and that will guide us on what to do and how to handle data protection. The difference between public data and private data.
Okay, I'll answer it a different way. Public data would be anything that's already available in the public domain. For instance, if you are a public official, you're the governor of a state, you don't need to do any strong research to find out the name of the governor of a particular state. So that is public data, is in the public domain. Or private data is that data that could personally identify you. For instance, the fact that I'm female is public data. Anyone taking a look at me probably knows I'm female. But my date of birth is private data. And I should ensure that that data is only released for intended purposes. It's not out there in the public domain. It's not because it's supposed to be hidden, but we want to be sure that it's used for the right purposes. So anything that can personally identify someone is actually called PII, personally identifiable data, and that should be protected.
Okay, so if we look at that, and you talk about the online presence of individual data, and we have a lot of social platforms available now, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and the rest of it. So at a point we begin to discover that people push out a lot of their personal information online. What are the dangers in this, or it means no harm?
Oh, it means a lot of harm. A lot of people have actually advertised themselves negatively without knowing it. For instance, you've left your home, you're traveling to another location. So we just take a picture of yourself and your family, we're off for 2 weeks. You're virtually inviting criminals, people who have no business with you, and telling them, my house is now vacant, go there and do whatever you like, you know. So there are some things that we put on social media that, you know, we think it's being hip or belonging. But really, those information should only be shared with people who matter, people who are close to us, and people who will respect our privacy.
That's wonderful. But if I may ask also, I want to know, what can individual do to protect their data?
First of all, in the cyberspace online, we need to be very, very careful where we are entering data, where we are putting in data. You want to access a particular website and it's asking a lot of questions, your name, your address, your date of birth, you know, you need to sit back and say, do they really need that? I want to shop, I'm browsing some catalogs. Why do you need all that information? We need to start questioning those data requests and provide only the barest minimum required to be able to fulfill that request, nothing more. So that's one way for an individual to protect himself or herself. The other way is to be cautious. To be sure, you know, people have the impression that the internet is anonymous. No, it's not anonymous. Anyone can go in and mine that data and then reconstruct it to create an identity. Your identity could be stolen. Someone could impersonate you. Someone could misuse that information and, you know, write false things under your name. You know, and that would be, you would now have to spend a lot of time explaining that that was not written by you, but was written by someone else who had assumed your identity. So people really, really need to be careful what they put out there online.
Okay, but if there's any situation that someone writes something under my name, a kind of impersonation online, is there any law that guides this? Is there any law that protects individual data in Nigeria at the moment?
At this point, there's no single comprehensive law that protects data privacy. That is really where we are at right now. We're trying to get all stakeholders, trying to sensitize people to the lack of data privacy laws in Nigeria so that we can make representation to the government. There are efforts already being made along this line, I must say that, but we need to fast track that, ensure that data privacy laws, correct, comprehensive laws are enacted and enforceable in Nigeria. So right now we really have no recourse.
No, that's serious, because I discovered there was a day I was actually browsing, and I was about copying the content of that website. I discovered that I couldn't just copy it. was locked. You can't copy, you can't. So that's a form of data protection also?
In a sense, you can, we talk about data classification. When you have your data, you can classify. If it's something you want to share, you think can go in public domain, you can leave it unclassified. Or if it's confidential or private or proprietary or restricted, you can put in some technology rules, some programming rules at the back, so that the data cannot be easily copied or printed or duplicated. So there's some smarts you can put in those on those screens to ensure that not everyone can just copy and paste or do a screenshot.
Okay, now we'll talk about the fact that what we are experiencing in Nigeria now, it's been said in virtually every quarter that we don't have a centralized database for individuals in Nigeria. You want to do national ID card, you submit your data. You want to do SIM registration, you submit your data. You want to do probably online forms, you put all your data there. Now we have a lot of data collection points in Nigeria. What are the dangers in this? How wary should we be of all of this?
Let me start with the good news. The good news is that there are efforts being made now to harmonize all the data. The National Identity Management Commission has that responsibility to collect and be the custodian of most of this data. The National Population Commission has its own responsibilities to register births and deaths. The telecommunication companies have been empowered to register, to provide information about the owners of SIM cards. So there is a lot of harmonization effort going on now, and we should see less of this duplication and multiplicity of data being collected in the near future. But yes, individuals should be careful, and like I said earlier, if you're filling out a form or either manually or online, put in only the minimum required by law, the minimum required for that function to go on smoothly.
Okay, that seems a lot of effort being put in place, because at the end of the day we are going to have centralized data, and there won't be duplications of data. And for me, this law you're about to put into use or in place, I guess it will go a long way to really help us as a nation.
So we won't have much of duplication of
exactly.
efforts. It's going to be a headache. Yes. It's been nice talking with you, my Dr. Titi Lola Akinlade. Thanks for joining us on this show, and we hope some other time we would like to have you on this program.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, man.
So the program is still TECHBRIDGE, and we'll be back after this break.
With the ongoing worries about whether cell phones can give humans cancer, especially brain cancer, recent studies have revealed that it's true that cell phones do emit radiation, but it's radio frequency radiation, which is much lower energy than the ionizing radiation humans get from an X-ray or nuclear fallout. Ionizing radiation can cause DNA damage that can eventually lead to cancer, but the radio frequency radiation from a cell phone doesn't work that way. According to the studies by a group of scientists in the US, male rats that were exposed to very high levels of radiofrequency radiation grew tumors around their heart. Researchers exposed the rodents' entire bodies to the radio waves for more than 9 hours per day for up to 2 years. A rat that is 2 years old is roughly equivalent to a 70-year-old person. Otis Brawley, the American Cancer Society's chief medical officer, agreed in an interview that the evidence for an association between cell phones and cancer is weak, and so far there has been no increase in cases. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) and the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) have sealed a partnership deal to deliver seamless electronic collations and transmission of 2019 election results. The deal will allow INEC to deliver accurate and fast transmission of results from polling units to the various collation and declaration centers. INEC has already enhanced its interface with voters using web-based technology. The INEC-NCC partnership was inked recently in Abuja when a delegation from the electoral body led by its chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, visited the telecoms regulator. Professor Mahmoud said that the time has come for INEC to reap the full potential of telecommunications by ensuring that elections and electoral processes become fully electronic-based by the application of all the telecom services and technologies available. A new robot cafe where customers can enjoy coffee brewed and served by a robot barista has opened in Japan. The robot named Soya debuted at Hina Cafe in Tokyo's downtown business and shopping district of Shibuya. The single-armed robot scans a ticket purchased from a vending machine and greets the customer. It grinds the coffee beans, fills a filter, and pours hot water over a paper cup for up to 5 people at once. Soya can also operate an automated machine for 6 other hot drinks, including cappuccino, hot chocolate, and green tea latte. The cafe operator says robots can increase productivity while also entertaining customers.
Welcome back from that short break, and a lot of things have been said, as you're aware. And we just want to pick one or two of them so that at least you can flow with us.
The first one is talking about the fact that there is no scientific evidence that shows that when you put your phone at the right side of your head, it actually causes some kind of brain cancer, according to this research.
But the information is all over social media that when you pick your call, use your left ear. But unfortunately, there is no scientific proof. And I want to believe the people that postulate such a law actually have a reason for that.
It's not really a law, I think it's a kind of scientific discovery, so to say, based on some.
For people to have come with that fact, they must have seen some negative aspect of it. These days, I pick my call using my left ear.
Same here, but this report says that there is nothing so scientific about it. Let's see how it goes. And the second one is talking about the fact that the INEC is ready to deliver seamless transmission of 2019 election results electronically.
There has been so much collaboration with NCC, INEC, and Nigeria Communication Commission. Why? Because Nigeria Communication Commission has satellites. They control the telecom. They have control over broadcast as well. They equally control some segment of data. So for them to have come up to say they are going to deliver a seamless election in 2019, let's give it to them. Let's watch. We are advancing. We shouldn't be static, anyway. So we're advancing.
We're going digital.
Yes, so exactly.
We keep our fingers crossed and see what happens about that. So, and the last one is talking about the robot cafe that launched in Japan. It's a kind of robot, like you said, the name is Barista, and it can prepare your coffee for you.
Wonderful.
When you get there, it prepares your coffee. Wonderful. You don't necessarily have to see an individual. You get served, you get refreshed, and you go.
So if you have a robot cafe, because I've had that over a long period of time, I want to believe that that research will translate to a robot that can prepare food as well.
I think that is where it's going now.
Because it will really save energy, it will save time, it will help development. That means robot can work while I'm sleeping. So a lot of economy is going to come into place.
There's a reservation about that. Probably that is going to take jobs from a lot of people.
Yeah, don't forget that technology generally is to make life easier.
Yes.
So as you have advantage of things, you have negative aspects. But I don't think the negative will supersede the advantage. So the point is, if it takes job from some other people, they will have some other things to do. People will manage the robots, for your information. They will control it, they will program it. So I want to believe it's for good.
And I think it's entertaining too. When you see it cross your legs at the bar and you see one robot moving coffee from one table to the other and probably serve you hot.
But at the beginning it's going to be scary. It will look like a ghost serving you. The touch of human feeling may not be there, but over time we'll get over all this stuff.
Get used to it. Okay, those are reactions on news updates today, and we've got to go. Many thanks for watching us today. You can connect with us on our various social media platforms. We want to hear your feedback. There is something you want us to shed more light on, or there is a kind of information you want to give us. Connect with us on our WhatsApp, connect with us on email, via our Facebook page and YouTube. We'll be glad to respond to your requests. Thanks so much for watching today. I am Sheyi Fumiola today.
And I'm Tony Alagoge. Thank you. Catch you next time.
Bye.